Let's bring in Josh Holmes, former chief of staff to Senator Mitch McConnell, who helped coin the term repeal and replace. Also with us, Mo Alethi, former DNC communications director and executive director of Georgetown University's Institute of Politics and Public Policy. So, Josh, I guess you would say it's a big defeat for Mitch McConnell. He thought he was cobbling together the votes for this new legislation, the Better Care Reconciliation Act, when Jerry Moran and Mike Lee, senators from Kansas and Utah, bailed out. There simply were not the votes there. Mitch McConnell has said, let's repeal it now and take 2 years to put together a replacement. Is that realistic?
Yeah, well, you know, it's a big defeat for the American people who've been clamoring to have some action here about higher premiums and a broken insurance marketplace for the last 7 years. And, you know, I do think there's a path forward. The good news is, as the majority leader indicated last night, they're going to be voting on a bill that they had passed and sent to President Obama in 2015, which not only repealed Obamacare, just a sec, John, it not only repealed Obamacare, but it provided the opportunity for a 2-year window where you can work across party lines to actually fix this system and provide real results for the American people. I think it's a perfect solution.
That was an easy repeal vote to cast, though, because everybody knew President Obama would veto it. So they could go on record as being in opposition. Now they have a president who would actually apparently repeal this thing. Isn't that a different kind of vote?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? It's an all hands on deck perspective for the Republican Party, in my view. The blast radius surrounding the fallout from not getting something like this done envelops everybody. And so, you know, I think the American people are going to look at which senators and congressmen and members of the administration are working hard to try to get this over the finish line and who's sitting it out. They've all had a chance to vote on it.
Mo, Democrats are kind of sitting back and watching the Republicans handle this political hot potato. But your party can't be pleased with what's going on with Obamacare. You've got 9 states that are essentially down to only one insurance company offering exchange policies.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of layers here. First of all, you know, I don't know a single Democratic member of Congress who hasn't said, look, there are certainly flaws in the system and we should work together to fix them, but we shouldn't go all out and just repeal it, because then there would be millions of Americans who would lose insurance, people would lose their protection against pre-existing conditions, et cetera, and so forth. So you see a lot of Democrats out there who are saying, well, let's work together to find fixes. I think Josh is a friend and a very smart political operative, and I think he would agree that this is a politically tenuous moment for the Republicans who are in control. They've had 7 years talking about repeal and replace, and now when the rubber hits the road, they cannot seem to come together. And the war is not with Democrats here. It is within the different factions of the Republican caucus. Every time leadership took a step to appease the conservatives who had concerns, moderates balked. Every time they took a step to appease the moderates in the caucus, conservatives. And now you're seeing a good number of senators stand up and say, hold on, we're not on board with repeal without a replacement. Repeal without a replacement would cause lots of problems, even with the 2-year window, would cause lots of problems, not the least of which throwing the insurance market into further chaos as insurance companies can't prepare for the long term.
Mo, let me interject on that point about why this is a Republican problem. The reason this is a Republican problem is because Democrats had 6 long years to fix whatever they thought was wrong with it and refused to do so. So here we are with insurance premiums that are going through the roof. You've got one or less than one insurer in 30% of the counties across the country, and we're left with an incredible mess here, and Democrats refuse to do anything. There's not a single Democrat that's out there saying, hey, here's a plan to go forward, and I could figure out how to work with Republican colleagues on that. They're just sitting on the sidelines. And I think, you know, frankly, inaction while the healthcare system completely collapses is an extremely regrettable position to take, and that's where the Democrats are right now.
But the two parties do seem so polarized. I mean, Obamacare was passed with no Republican votes. Now Republicans are trying to cobble together some kind of repeal and replace legislation without Democratic support. Should there be some kind of a bipartisan effort, Mo, to get this thing back on the rails?
100%. 100%. I think one of the most disconcerting comments that the majority leader made recently was, when he kind of issued a threat to his caucus members saying, if we don't get this done now, we're going to be forced to work with Democrats. I can understand why that would be a threat to purists, but I don't think bipartisanship, look, maybe this is because I'm out of the game now, right? And I'm sitting here in my ivory tower of academia that I can say this is okay. But I don't think there's such a bad thing there. I mean, why is it a threat that we're going to work with the other side? We ought to be working together. And when you have both sides saying, let's fix it, let's both sides own up and take some responsibility and work to fix it.
Well, Mo.
I think the problem is they don't make a lot of Democrats like Mo anymore, right? They're willing to actually work through the Senate. I mean, we've got a single payer or nothing caucus in the Senate and the House, and frankly, that's the bipartisanship there is a little scary.
Mo, we appreciate you coming down from the ivory tower to join us today. Josh Holmes, thanks for being here as well. We'll have you guys.